Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. MMU Postgraduate Virtual Open Day, MMU PG Virtual Open Day 2021 is here. We're going to be talking about credibility and trust in risk communication and not sure, don't share. Is the younger generation aware of the law? So those are the two topics that we'll be talking about. Learn more about the postgraduate program at MMU and discuss your education options in person with our academic virtually. Log the date for our MMU Postgraduate Virtual Open Day with us from the 23rd till the 29th August 2021 on MMU Facebook page and MMU YouTube channel. There will be many informative and interesting webinars and lunch talk taking place during the MMU Open Day week. Don't miss the opportunity. Register with us at our website. Start your next education chapter with us. MMU Postgraduate Open Day will be hosted by me, Yasmi Mustafa Muzil, a lecturer, academic counselor, happening live right now. Save your date and time with us. To start the conversation today, I would like to pass the floor to Ms. Suhana Muhammad Saleh, specialist at Faculty of Faculty of Communications here with the title Credibility and Trust in Risk Communication. Over to you, Ms. Suhana.
Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. Okay, first and foremost, let me introduce you. I'm Suhana Muhammad Saleh from the Faculty of Applied Communications, and I'm a specialist and also the program coordinator for Bachelor of Communications in Strategic Communications. Yeah. And to all the viewers, welcome to our session this afternoon. So I hope that all of you are comfortable after the lunch. So let's listen to the topic that we have live telecast, yeah, from Multimedia University. Okay, so let's proceed with my presentations today, yeah. So we go to the next slide, please. All right, so as you can see that credibility and trust in risk communication is very, very important, yeah. And now we are in pandemic, yes, what we call it as a health communications, yeah. Emergencies with the COVID-19 pandemic that our country and all over the world, yeah, we are facing these issues, yeah. So what is the credibility and trust that we need to have in these risk communications, right? Can we go to the next slide? Okay, for the introduction, so let's take a look. What is credibility? Yeah, so it's refer back to the agency. Yeah, how do they inform the public, especially the community? Yeah, we have various or all walks of life. Yeah, people in the community. Yeah, be it adults, teenagers, and also kids. Yeah, so what is the right information? Yeah, that you wanted to tell them about pandemic, for example, yeah, since that we are in COVID-19 situation. So my example, yeah, will be on these issues, right? So if we don't have the credibility news or message to reach our audiences, do you think that the public would trust our agency? Definitely not, yeah. Recently, we can see that so many fake news, yeah, all over the platforms, especially the social media. And we do not know where is the source coming in, yeah? Whether this is the right news or it just people make it viral, yeah? So that the people tend to believe. And the effect will be reflect to the agencies, meaning to say that they don't have the credibility in order to relay a good message, the right information or the clear message to their target audiences, which is the community at large, yeah? And trust, like us, when we receive all those news, whether this is reliable, okay, when we consume the news, whether we can trust this, or like what I said earlier, people just make it viral, okay? It's either parties who want to just share, yeah, they wanted to be the first, yeah, like what when we call it a digital journalist, yeah, everybody love to write and love to talk over the social media that we have, yeah, but we do not know whether the source is right or not, yeah, from the right agency. So trust from the public is very, very important, especially during the risk communication disseminations, yeah. Okay, next slide. All right, so let me share with you what is the risk communications, yeah? So risk communications basically is a key factor, yeah, that we need to do, we need to disseminate, especially for our stakeholders, yeah, all the communities at large, for preventing and mitigating the effects of infectious of diseases, yeah, like what we are having now, and also to help those community overcome fears. Yeah, like yesterday, we see the updated number of cases. Yeah, it's about 24K plus. So how do we feel about this? So of course, we will feel like, oh, the case is going up. Yeah, from day to day. Now it's about 24,000 plus. So of course, we will feel like, even though we are staying at home, yeah, so we are not so sure how to go out, whether the environment is safe or not, yeah. So that is where we need to disseminate risk communications, yeah. That's why people will get trusted, yeah, to those agencies who relay this message. And again, we must remember that the message must be clear. Otherwise, yeah, our risk communication disseminations will fail. Yeah, so those agencies who related in disseminating risk communications, they must have the credibility in terms of news, yeah, especially the message that they give to the people, informations about the COVID-19, yeah. And also what I can say that during the risk communications, we normally have 3 stages, yeah. Before the risk, what do we need to prepare? The informations, yeah. We have to remember, we have so many audiences, like what I said earlier, we have kids, which sometimes when they see the news, they don't understand, yeah, because knowing kids, they would prefer to receive information with regards to visual communications, for example, yeah. So if you just give them the article of the newspaper or the information through the social media, yeah, with a lengthy text, they won't understand. Yeah, how do they trust whether this news is right or not? So this is why you need to identify the right message, the right channel of communications, and also who are your audiences. Yeah. So once you have this, definitely you will achieve the successful in risk communications. Okay. Right. So next slide. Okay. We all know, yeah, during this pandemic, yeah, it's not only the whole wide world, yeah, having challenges, yeah, especially some of us lose our job and they don't have fixed income, yeah. So with these challenges, yeah, during this pandemic, the importance of having good risk communications, yeah, need to be put in place. Okay, so we need to have a proper framework. Yeah, so like what I said earlier, during the pandemic, we have 3 stages. Yeah, before, during the emergencies, and after the emergencies, which is the recovery part. And now we are all having vaccines. Yeah, the campaign from the government. Yeah, to all the Malaysians, yeah, to get vaccine, yeah, so that we can achieve herd immunity one day, yeah, so that the cases will drop, okay, and we are back to the normal situations, yeah. So this is why to have a proper system, yeah, especially in risk communication, is very, very important, because it will reflect back the credibility of the organizations, yeah, especially the agencies, for example, the health agencies, yeah, to disseminate the right information to all the right people, right? Okay, next slide. Okay, I would like to share my research study, yeah, especially how to prove the credibility and trust during the risk communications disseminations. Yeah, and my case study, basically I choose the group of kids, yeah, which is indigenous or orang asli. Okay, so in order to reach this group of people, you need to have the right approach. Yeah, you need to carefully frame, yeah, the way or the method you wanted to collect data from this group of people. Okay, knowing kids, like what I said earlier, they would prefer, yeah, to get the informations with regards to visual, or you give them some pictures to make them understand. Yeah, so if you want to be a good agencies, yeah, so that the people will trust your agency and your services, again, you need to know the method, yeah, the methodology. How are you going to approach the people? Yeah, so kids, okay, among the orang asli people, basically, we will have the a problem in terms of language, yeah, and also how to approach them. You need to have a good ethics. You need to apply for that, yeah, before you go and reach them, get the approval from the parents and from the authority who taking care of this group, yeah. Okay, why I said that, yeah, I wanted to prove that I'm from the university that have credibility, yeah, in giving knowledge, yeah, to all those community, and also trust, so that I wanted them to trust my research, yeah, to make them understand, yeah, about the COVID-19, yeah. Okay, so we move to the next slide. Okay, the purpose of my study, yeah, basically, if to give or to help the authority, yeah, how to frame or to come up with a proper frameworks, yeah, once we have this kind of pandemic. We do have that previously. For example, we have Zika, we have bird flu, yeah, but then it's totally different. Even though we always say that, oh, this is the outbreak of diseases, yeah, but then the approach sometimes will be different, yeah. Like now, it's like totally a big operations, yeah, for our country. Okay, so this is why I wanted to conduct this, so that I want all the community to understand, yeah, what is the risk communications, and also about the disease, which is COVID-19. Yeah, so we move to the next slide. Okay, this is something interesting. Yeah, this is quite new in research. Yeah, which it's never been done before. Yeah, I use the storyboard, yeah, to collect data, yeah. So let them express themselves. They visualize their understanding on the COVID-19, yeah. From there, I will collect, yeah, based on the questions that I prepare, for the storyboard, yeah. The storyboards, we have a few boxes that they have to fill in. They have to answer based on the questions, yeah. And of course, we need a translator for that, yeah, because kids, some of them, they do not know how to speak Bahasa because they are in their own group. Yeah, sometimes the language is a barrier. Yeah, so this is where I would say that you need a clear language, yeah, to speak to them. So that's why you have a translator. So the translator will have to translate so that they will understand, yeah, what are the requirements, and they start draw, yeah, on the storyboard, yeah, because the kids, the target kids is between 7 to 8 to 10 years old, yeah. Some of them like 7 years old, yes, they still couldn't understand, yeah, what is the COVID-19, because the message that reached them, sometimes they do not know whether which one is the right one, yeah. When we feed them with the message, yeah, they also do not know whether the message is coming from the right source or not, yeah. So it's either the fake news, yeah, they just receive. So meaning to say that the information that they receive, yeah, cannot be trusted, yeah. So this is why I would say that the method or approach, yeah, is very, very important, yeah, for us to get the trust, especially from our community, yeah. So once they draw, yeah, or the storyboard, yeah. So then you will get the understanding, yeah, the level of the understanding of COVID-19 and whatnot, yeah. Okay, so next slide. Okay, all right. So as I said earlier, so from this study, yeah, so we hope that we will contribute, yeah, to the authority, yeah, especially for those agencies, especially health agencies, and also non-profit organizations that also helping the health agencies, yeah, in carry their duties, especially in risk communication disseminations, yeah. Okay, next slide. Okay, as conclusions, yeah, what I want to say that we need to have a very good, yeah, risk communication system or framework, yeah, so that when the people receive the information, yeah, so it must be clear, yeah, it has to be correct, coming from the right source, yeah, especially the health agencies, yeah, who are having services, yeah, in this risk communications, yeah, and also the channel of communication, another platform which is very, very important, okay, because to reach the audiences, you have to make sure that they understand your message, yeah. So that is what we need to have in risk communications framework, so that towards the end of the day, they know that this agency, they have the credibility, yeah, in doing their job, in disseminate risk communications. And we, as the end user, of course, we should know that we can trust because it comes from the right sources, yeah. So that's all from me. Thank you. And over to you, Mr. Mustafa.
Thank you, Visu. It was very detailed, in-depth, precise, concise, well, what I call it, storyboarded information before you disseminate information to the public. Okay, moving on to our next speaker. From the Faculty of Law, here we have Dr. Hafiz Hakimi Harun, who is a lecturer from the Faculty of Law. Dr. Hakimi will be talking about not sure, don't share. Is the younger generations aware of this law? Over to you, Dr. Hakimi, with your details info.
Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. Hello, Assalamualaikum. How are you? All right, so good afternoon. Today, as mentioned by Mr. Mustafa, I'm going to share about a topic, one of the hottest topic that we have today, all right, which is on fake news, basically. Even though the title is not sure, don't share, is the younger generation aware of the laws, but basically we are going to talk about fake news, right? So allow me to share my presentation slides first. Okay. All right. I'm sorry for that. Okay. So I hope everyone can see my slides. All right. So again, my name is Dr. Hafiz Hakimi bin Harun, a lecturer in Faculty of Law, MMU. All right. As mentioned earlier, I will be talking about fake news. Not sure, don't share. Is the younger generation aware of the law? Okay, a bit about me. Basically, my name is Hafiz Hakimi bin Harun, as mentioned. All right, my research area basically is concentrating on constitutional law, human rights law, media law, and administrative law. All right. So whenever we talk about fake news, all right, or anything that we are not supposed to share online, basically our mind will go to this guy, right? We are going to think about Donald Trump, all right, because this term basically being popularized by Mr. Donald Trump, the 45th United States president, all right. However, of course, basically, when we are talking about fake news is not something new. It's not a new terminology, all right? It's not a new terminology. Basically, fake news, in that sense, actually already being existent since the 6th century, all right? Basically, when we are talking about fake news, right, back in the day, it was for the purpose of propaganda and sensationalism, all right? So, but people would ask, okay, what is fake news? Okay, basically, there's no standardized definition of fake news. Okay, there's no standardized definition. In fact, when we talk about fake news, people might use other terms like misinformation, false information or disinformation. Even though technically speaking, there's a certain distinction between those terminologies that I mentioned. However, people might refer to fake news. Okay, so what is fake news? Generally, it refers to unverified news or information. Unverified news. Okay, so as I said, when we talk about fake news, it's not something new, right? In fact, it happened in 1835, one of the most notable modern fake news in human history, all right, where the New York Times at that time issued some series of articles, okay, on the inhabitation of the moon, where they alleged that they discovered that on the moon there's inhabitants in form of animals and humanoids bats. All right. So yes, clearly today because of the modern technology, we know this is fake news. But back then, it was believable news. All right. So what is the characteristic of fake news? Modern fake news. Basically, first they have several motives. All right. Perhaps because of profit motive, business motive, seeking money, or spreading political ideology, or whatever ideology. All right, and usually, unlike traditional fake news, right, modern fake news contains of distorted news content or sources. Traditionally, when we talk about fake news, the entire news is basically false information. However, today it might be partially true information. All right, and to put insult into injury, basically, when we talk about fake news today, it's become more and more difficult to contain because because of the development of social media technologies. This is because of when you are using social media, there's no filtering in terms of truth, right? Because when we are looking at social media, basically the news is stacked based on popularity, not on reliability. So that's why people keep sharing false information. Okay, so I think you recognize this other person, right? Adolf Hitler used to say that if you tell big enough lie and tell it frequently enough, it will be believed, right? So this is what happened in our society today, unfortunately. Okay, so I think as my colleague earlier already shared that there are several factors, all right, personal experience that could affect audience to believe such a news, even though it's fake. Okay, people usually look at the credibility of the sender. All right, based on my research, first people will look at the credibility of the sender, perhaps our family members, perhaps our boss, perhaps our friend. So people will look at the credibility of the sender rather than authenticity of the news itself. Secondly, because we have easy access to technology. Now, technology is everywhere, especially social media technology. You can use it by your phone, you can use your laptop, you can use your computers. All right, so it's very easy to access. We have very, very accessible information today. So therefore, when we are talking about information, it can be a good information, it can be a beneficial information at the same time, it can be a false information as well as harmful information that is available to us. And the third one would be motivational factors. Not all fake news being spread because of bad intention, with bad intention. All right, most of the fake news, in fact, was spread because of a good intention, right? Because of love, because of fear, right? So not all fake news being spread because of malicious intention. Okay, so as I said, social media has become the platform to spread fake news nowadays because of the three things. First, in terms of cost, it is much cheaper. Back in the day, if you want to publish a news, you want to disseminate an information, you have to publish it in newspapers, for example. So in terms of cost, it can be higher compared to today. Anonymity, right? This is another thing. All right, anonymity, because people believe that they are anonymous online, right? Basically, this is not true, right? This is not true. Okay, credibility. Okay, because sometimes the one who disseminate the fake news have a certain credibility in the public, either it is a public figure, celebrity, and etc. So that's why people use social media to spread fake news. Okay. So another thing, all right, that I want to share with you. How do you get your news? This is another thing that we have to look at. All right. Basically, according to a data that I have, all right, based on the research conducted by Reuters Institute, University of Oxford, basically most of the people in Malaysia get their news from online, including social media. Right, online platform, social media. So for me, this is quite dangerous. In fact, very dangerous because news that are available online are usually not verified. And of course, most of Malaysians use their smartphone. All right, it's a good thing in a way because we are exposed to information. However, of course, it's a bad thing in some other way because it means that malicious information are easily accessible to everyone, especially younger generation who are more computer and technological savvy. All right. So, of course, based on my research as well, right, quoting after Reuters Institute, Facebook and WhatsApp are the top social media tools for media and messaging to get information roughly. Okay, so basically, I've been asked before from by my students, in fact, even from the public members of the public, that basically they would say that I'm just sharing my opinion. It's no problem. It's not something illegal to share opinion online. All right, it's just an opinion, no matter whether it's good or bad. It's just an opinion. Is it a crime? So one thing that I have to verify to you, all right, basically when it comes to facts and opinion, there are differences. Okay, um, fact, all right, fact basically refers to a verified information. That's number one, a verified information. Opinion is basically refers to our digestion on whatever information that is available to us. All right. But however, let me say, in the eyes of law, it doesn't matter whether what you state is a fact or an opinion. All right, whether it's true or not. But we look at the context of the fact or that opinion. Right, the context, whether that context would be legal or illegal. That's the main thing that we have to look at in the eyes of law. And the acceptance of such statement, whether that statement, for example, is offensive, even though it's true, even though it is a fact, but it can be offensive. Therefore, it can be illegal in the eyes of law, all right, according to relevant laws. Okay, and the meaning, all right, sometimes we say something in innuendo. Okay, however, the meaning, all right, whether it's expressed or hidden, all right, by the author, can basically is offensive to someone, for example. Therefore, that statement, all right, or that speech is also subjected to law. All right. So when we are talking about law, all right, in Malaysia, of course, we know that the highest law of the land is the federal constitution. All right. This is according to Article 4 of the federal constitution, where basically all laws must be consistent with the federal constitution. So under the federal constitution, our freedom of speech and expression basically is guaranteed under Article 10(1)(a) of the federal constitution. So our right to speech is guaranteed. That's number one in the federal constitution. However, our freedom of speech is limited by many provisions under the federal constitution, mainly under Article 10(2)(a) of the federal constitution, where the parliament can enact laws to restrict our speech, all right, in pursuance to protect security. For example, there are many grounds, as you can see from your screen, all right, in terms of to protect security, to protect morality, to protect public order, and etc. There are many more provisions that allows the parliament to enact law in order to restrict freedom of speech. So the point here is this: even under the federal constitution, freedom of speech is not absolute. We are subjected to limitations as provided by the constitution itself. Okay, so here basically in Malaysia, when we are talking about laws, right, there are many laws that can be used in order to restrict fake news, right? To restrict fake news, to control dissemination of fake news, to restrict creation of fake news. There are many laws that can do the same role. However, of course, in light of this particular presentation, I'm only going to highlight several notable laws that being used to restrict fake news in Malaysia. Fake news, disinformation, misinformation, all the stuff. All right. So the first one of the most notable that being used frequently during this pandemic, because as you know, during this pandemic, there's a lot of circulation and creation of fake news all over internet, all over the social media. So one of the famous provision that we frequently use is Section 505B of the Penal Code. One thing about Section 505B of the Penal Code, all right, it requires such information, such report to cause public fear or alarm. So what does it mean? It means that as long as the fact or the statement that you made, right, no matter whether it's false or not, as long as it can create public fear or public panic or public alarm, therefore you can be prosecuted under this particular section 505B of the Penal Code, Kanun Kesesaan. Alright, as you can see, the punishment is quite severe, where you can be subjected to a maximum 2 years imprisonment or fine or both. So whenever you make a statement, whenever you update your Facebook status or Twitter status or whatever, right, when you are using your social media, please be careful. Alright, please consider the aftermath of your statement. This is just example lah, alright, just as an example, okay, where basically one person has been prosecuted under Section 505B, alright, for sharing false status in Facebook, alright. So the second law that I just want to share with you is Section 8A of the Printing Presses and Publication Act. Okay, to be honest, basically this section deals with printed press industry. So if you are circulating false information, malicious false information, the word malicious must be there. So it's not the information itself is false, but you have malicious intention. All right. Therefore, you can be subjected to be charged under Section 8A. Even though I said that this particular act, right, Printing Presses and Publication Act, is more focusing to printed press industry. However, of course, in terms of application, it can be widened even for online forms of communications. As you can see, the imprisonment is also severe, not more than 3 years of imprisonment, all right, and fine and of not more than 20,000 ringgit or both. Okay, so the next one is this one is the most popular legal mechanism that have been used in Malaysia to combat fake news. These two sections under Communications and Multimedia Act 1998, right? Akta Komunikasi dan Multimedia. Okay, Section 211 and Section 233. Okay, so basically under these two acts, alright, it identifies fake news under the category of offensive content. Okay, so let me clarify something on this. Basically, when it comes to Section 211 and 233, it's not only criminalizing fake news or offensive content, but as well indecent content, obscene content, menacing content also being criminalized under the both sections. All right. So what's the difference between these two sections? Okay, the main difference is in terms of governance and purpose, in terms of prosecution. Okay, when we are talking about Section 211, it governs static content. What is static content? Means a website or online content that does not allow interaction. All right. For example, a news portal that does not have comment section. So that's where the prosecution will use Section 211 to prosecute the party. All right. But how about Section 233? Section 233 is more relevant to us, where basically it governs online interactive content. All right. Section 233 basically governs online interactive content. So what does it mean? It means, like, for example, Facebook, right, social media, or any news portal that allows comment section. All right. So basically, that's the purpose of having Section 211 and Section 233. And even if you look at the punishment, is quite severe. You can be sentenced for imprisonment. You can be subjected to fine not more than 50,000 ringgit. All right. And in continuing offense, you can be you can be fined for RM 1K for each day after found guilty. Means what? Means if let's say you post a fake content, and even after you've been found guilty, you not taken down the content, you did not delete the content, each day, right, you will be fined 1,000 ringgit per day. So if it stays there for 30 days, therefore it will be 30,000 ringgit. That's just for an example. Okay. So another law that is relevant to be mentioned here is Sedition Act 1948, Akta Hasutan. It criminalizes seditious publication. What is seditious publication? Basically, we look at the publication that has seditious tendency. When we are talking about Sedition Act, basically it regarded as a crime. Sedition is regarded as a crime against the state. So that's why the punishment itself is a bit severe. All right, Akta Hasutan. All right. So let me move on. Okay. So these are instances lah where some people has been subjected for investigation under Akta Hasutan. Okay. Now, the last one would be civil action. Apart from criminal prosecution, of course, the one who spread or create fake news can as well be subjected to civil action. All right, civil suit. All right, specifically thought of defamation. All right, and this civil action basically blossoms right in early 90s and early 2000s, where if you might remember, right, some audience might remember that back then there were $1 million of suits happen in the courts, right? For example, like this one, the Tan Sri Vincent Tan case, right? 10 million defamation suit. So be careful whenever you sharing information. You may be subjected to civil suit. It can be worth millions. All right. So how do you combat fake news? All right. How can you combat fake news? Okay. Yes, of course. As I said, we do have laws to combat fake news. We do have laws. But to be honest with you, basically, I don't think law alone is enough to be a legal mechanism to combat fake news, because technology is an ever-evolving subject. All right, so perhaps the law cannot catch up with the technology on daily basis. All right, for example, the law just been passed today, the next following day, there's a new technology. So the law have to be amended again. So how do we combat fake news? First, I believe in self-regulation. Verify your news. You have to verify your news. Don't take the news as it is. Look at it. Have some cross-references with more legitimate, more notable news sources. All right, like Bernama, Awani. Right? So we have to do some cross-checking before we believe it and share it later. And the second thing, if you feel that the news is not reliable, you are not so sure whether the news is correct, is true or not, therefore, of course, don't share. You are not sure, don't share. So it's back to our title of our talk today. Don't share, because the fact that you are sharing a fake news also make you liable under Section 114A of Evidence Act, even though you just a WhatsApp admin. All right, so be careful with that. And of course, the less you can do is to report to the authorities lah. It can be done at mysebenarnya.my. All right, so I think with that, I end my presentation. So thank you, back to Mr. Mustafa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hakimi. Sounds like real courtroom case in session. It's very convincing, elaborate, discuss. A case in point is fake news. All right. Okay, moving on. To start our Q&A sessions, I would like to ask questions to Ms. Su. Ms. Su, your next question here is from one of our audience. What is the career prospect for those who graduated from Master's in Philosophies or PhD in communication, as far as we concerns that this field is more on the corporate industry?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mustafa, and also thank you for the questions. Basically, when you graduated from mass communications, yeah, especially in strategic communications, it's not necessarily the opportunity of the job only in the corporate industries, yeah. So it's very wide. We have government agencies, we have non-profit agencies, yeah. If you would prefer to work, okay, with the non-profit organizations, there's a post of public affairs, yeah, or corporate communications post, yeah, with this non-profit organizations. It's the same thing with the corporate organizations, yeah, be it business to business or any other profit organizations, yeah. They all have the department and also the positions, yeah, for those graduates from master or PhD in communications.
Okay, losing some connection just now, so we are back now. Please continue, Miss Sue.
Or maybe I can add more for those who like to work in media industry, yeah. So they can also be a journalist, yeah, or the content analysis, yeah, in newspapers industry or online newspapers, yeah. So lots of positions, lots of opportunities that you can have, yeah, after you graduated from these two programs, yeah.
Okay, next question. So, let me go back to our lawyer here, Dr. Hakimi. One question here for you, Dr. Hakimi. So, if you have seen something you think it is misinformation or it's not true, what do you do?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. Basically, as I mentioned earlier, what do you do? Okay, the first thing first, of course, you have to verify the information. You have to verify it with a more reliable channels, right? Like Bernama, for example. Whenever you receive it, nowadays basically we have sebenarnya.my, right? Sebenarnya.my is an excellent platform. I have to say that in order to some cross-referencing with whatever information that we have, and even so, all right. Even if you go through the proper government agencies, social media pages or platforms, basically you can see that sometimes from time to time they verify it whether this is a fake news or otherwise. Like recently, yesterday, right? Basically, our health DG, right, Director General, clarify something on a fake news, all right? So he shared it in the Facebook. So the point here is this, right? You have to verify your news. You have to verify your news. Do not accept it as it is. All right. Sometimes for some of us, it's quite difficult to do this because we used to believe whatever we receive, whatever be imparted to us. All right. Because the days of traditional media is already ended, where basically the information has been screened first, has been edited first for public consumption. But nowadays, everyone can be a journalist, all right, online. Netizens are journalists, all right, in the cyberspace. So this is the problems that we encounter today. The first step is self-verification. The next step would be don't share if you're not sure. Because if you share malicious or fake news or false information, therefore you are also share the liability of that particular crime. All right. So if you share it, you may be in trouble later. Even though you just share innocently, you may be in trouble later. So don't please verify first and don't share. But I just want to suggest another option. All right, another way at the institutional level. All right, perhaps it's time for us to have some form of self-regulatory body. For example, like a press council in the that being used in the United Kingdom before to enhance the credibility of newspapers. Because with all the respect, sometimes even the established media have to be careful when it comes to sharing information online, right? Because sometimes perhaps people keep sharing false information and then it attract some medias to reshare it again. So there would be a problem. So we have to establish a body, a self-regulatory body that to be a redress mechanism whenever someone fall into victim of these fake news, apart from the already established legal mechanism that we have. Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Hakimi. It was very detailed explanations. All right, Miss Sue, let me get back to you. We received one question here from the audience. How can a communicator justify the applications of professional standards if these are hardly intelligible for most people and trigger anti-elitist resentment? Miss Sue.
Okay. Again, whatever it is back to the professionalism, yeah. So in communications, yeah, especially those practitioners, for example, public relations, yeah, we need to follow our ethics and professionalism, yeah. So we have to remember, yeah, whenever we wanted to communicate with our audiences, make sure that you get the right content, yeah, to communicate with them. Okay, so as a profession, as a practitioner, yeah, basically before you communicate, you need to identify, like what Dr. Hakimi said just now. In our country, we have laws that we have to follow. It's the same thing, yeah. So if you want to publish, so we also have act, yeah, in publications, yeah. So we have to follow that, yeah. It's the same thing that we need to practice. Go back to the professionalism code of ethics, yeah. So everybody, it doesn't matter if you are work as a lawyer, doctor, and communications. Also, we do have the ethics and professionalism.
Okay, good. Okay, let me get back to our lawyer here, Dr. Hakimi. Next question, Dr. Hakimi, from one of our audience. If I have experience in law firm, but with no degree in law, can I take LLM, for example, maybe a grad or something? Would that be possible?
Thank you, Mr.
Dr.
Mustafa.
Hakimi.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so this is an excellent question. All right, so basically, to put it simply, unfortunately, not yet. All right, you have to possess actually at least a bachelor degree in order to be enrolled into LLM program. Okay, I give you the reason. All right, the main reason here is because our LLM is a research-based program. So it requires a basic understanding of the law, all right, which you obtain during your bachelor studies. So this is the main reason. However, for coursework, all right, for coursework, perhaps later, perhaps we might consider of offering coursework program for masters, all right, that can be considered, right? But of course, for LLM at the moment, you have to have at least a bachelor degree in law, LLB, in order to enroll into the program. Thank you.
Okay, let me get back to Miss Sue. Here we just have one question from our audience, from Sarabit Singh. Nowadays, even verified page account share news without vetting in order to get publicity. How to counter that, Miss Sue?
Okay. So I go back to the communications, yeah, especially those practitioners, yeah. So in our professions, yeah, we deal a lot of what I would say that crisis communications or issues. So this, I would say that is under the crisis communications, yeah. So how are we going to deal? First, of course, you need to do the assessment first, yeah. So we do have a process, yeah, in communications before you come out or create any content of your message or any news stories. For example, you write press release, yeah, to inform the public, okay, on your organization's activities and whatnot. So do the assessment first, yeah. So after you get all the correct informations, yeah, you gather all the informations. So this is where you give the feedback to the issues. Okay, so you need to communicate that, yeah. Crafting your message before you relay, yeah, it needs an assessment, yeah. So this is very important or very basic that communicator need to do, yeah, before they handle any issues or any crises. Pertaining with regards to their organization, with regards to their brand, or with regards to their services. Yeah, so this is my answer to the questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sue. Next question to Dr. Hakimi. From our audience again here. Can we confirm the time and place of the photo/video capture using visual clue in the contents? Is there any application on that or any apps
Right.
that could deal with it so far?
Okay. Okay. So far, basically, this is a good question. All right. But so far, to my knowledge, right, there's none to my knowledge. Okay. Because when we are talking about the legal perspective of the question, all right, if you are looking at the legal perspective of the question, basically, because as you know that pictures, all right, pictures or even videos nowadays can be doctored, all right, can be doctored. So it's very difficult for us to clarify whether the picture or a video is true or otherwise. Okay, so usually if you are talking about whether it's correct or not, basically you require an expert opinion on that particular thing, because that's how we do in the court, right? We have to obtain expert opinion in order to determine the authenticity of that particular video or photo. But even so, if let's say even we have an app, for example, right? We have an app to clarify the authenticity of a certain, not just video, any content. But even so, the app itself, the efficiency or the efficacy of the app, the effectiveness of the app itself can be disputed. Can be disputed. All right. So my advice is, if you are not so sure about it, we have to resort into a traditional way. Try to cross check with other sources. All right. Other source of informations which are more reliable, all right, which are more reliable compared to just another website, right? You have to compare it with reliable sources, okay, as I mentioned, perhaps with more established news agencies like Bernama, Awani, and etc. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hakimi. I think we have one more question. So would that be okay, Miss Sue?
Yeah, sure, no
All
problem.
right, all right. Here we have another question from our audience. How can a communicator deal with the typical conditions of dissent in technical, social, and political communities about the seriousness of different race? Question mark.
Okay, right. So we're back to our main topic, credibility and trust in race communications. Yeah. Okay. Like what I said earlier, yeah, during my talk just now, we have different level of communities. Yeah, but in terms of culture, sometimes we are having the barrier in terms of language. Yeah. So the best thing, yeah, to work or to settle this issue, yeah, what I would say, we can have a partner, yeah, building a partnerships, yeah, with those community. Yeah. For example, health agencies, they might not know, yeah, who are those people staying in the rural area. So the best way is to work with a local authority, yeah, or local or municipal council, for example, or any non-profit organization which is very close to the community. Yeah. Because when we talk about the technical, we talk about the social, yes, communicators, we will be facing all those issues. Yeah. So the best thing, building a good partnerships, yeah, with the local people, so that they will help you. Let's say you are having problems in terms of culture. Sometimes we do not know how to speak. Sometimes the words that we use might be very sensitive to a certain culture, or sometimes even colors. Yeah, the colors that we use in our visual can be very, very sensitive to a certain culture, for example. So get the people who know, yeah, the culture, they have who have the good knowledge, yeah, in terms of culture, yeah. So work together with them, yeah, building a local partnership, so that people will say that your agency is you have the credibility, and of course, yeah, you will resolve this issue because they will trust you. Yeah. You communicate the message in the same manner, yeah, the same language with all those people. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Su. To end our last questions to Dr. Hakimi, I think this is going to be our last. Since we are in the world of what they call it, social media, one question here. Let's say you receive a content. Has the content been digitally manipulated in some way? Are you able to verify it, immediately before we resend it to other people or disseminate the info? Dr.
Alright.
Hakimi.
Yeah, thank you. Basically, again, it backs to the very basic principle. All right, you have to read the content carefully. One thing, when you receive something that you feel that is digitally manipulated, you can feel it. All right, you can feel it in your core. Basically, this particular thing, something fishy about this, something off about this. Whenever you have such feeling, right, you have to do some self-verification, right? Because even though we have, because this is strange, I say, that even though we have very advanced tools and technologies to manipulate or edit the video or whatever digitally manipulated content, all right, what we can do first, all right, once you receive it, look at the reference. All right. On a practical side, of course, whenever you receive a WhatsApp message, for example, when you read it, right, even though at the bottom it says, for example, like doctor, someone, a medical doctor from somewhere, all right, talks about vaccine. But when you read about it, you know that something wrong with this message. When you are judging from the grammar, right, there's a lot of grammatical errors, right? There's a lot of misrepresentation. There's a lot of misuse of terminologies. There's a lot. So you basically, when you read it, you have a feeling that this might something wrong with this particular digital content. All right, even it's in a form of text or in form of pictures, you have that feeling. So to be on the safe side, again, verify the news. And if you are not sure, don't share it in order to avoid yourself from sharing the criminal liability. All right. So that, Mr. Mustafa.
Thank you, everyone. We have come to an end. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Thank you to Ms. Suhana Muhammad Saleh, a specialist, and also Dr. Hafiz Hakimi from the Faculty of Law. Thank you for sharing your insight and expertise with us today. For our audience, for those of you who have additional questions and would like to connect with us, just go directly to our website and log on to our postgraduate virtual open day from the 23rd to 29th. Our team will respond to you accordingly. You can contact us through our MMU Facebook page and also our YouTube channel. Okay, so to continue or to what do you call it, proceed with your plan, please do come to us. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your times and have a wonderful weekend ahead of you. Thank you, everyone.
Multimedia University, because MMU is you, leading the digital future. Visit mmu.edu.my.